Yes. Get up off that thing. Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite one of James Brown. Mm-mm. Yeah. And good music. I miss those days of park, live music. Put the music low. Yeah. And they fixed it up. Low. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Hey, family. I hope all is well with you as it is with me. I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to show you a couple, I'm going to do a couple of videos on, of course, by now y'all know what degeneracy is. Uh, and you understand that it's not our job to teach these people anything. If they feel deep down the way they feel about things, then we should not be around them. And these things, how they think, is being shown. And unfortunately, we have, I explained the metaphysical part of everything. First, the male, our men, they are doomed. The ones who don't have a close relationship to the one that brought them into the world, the ones that can disconnect themselves from that, they are doomed. They don't have, or they're disconnected from their souls. They are doomed. They are doomed to the earth, to the physical. Well, not the earth. I shouldn't say the earth. The physical realm, because we are to rise above the physical realm. And I'm going to explain after this video because there's some things that this young white thing is saying in this video that have to be explained from her viewpoint that she is saying about her ancestors that a lot of us probably already know and understand that about them because we know who we were before we were grabbed up. And it all has to do with this, of course. It all has to do with this. See, something these these Caucasian people never had and never understood. There's always, let me put this out. There's always been standard and boundaries. There's always been a way. It may not have been written. See, this is where I'm gonna come back to some of our men who want to be physical bonded. Things they don't realize logic is not the only thing you can live by. A lot of people say logic, but what type of logic are you dealing with? When we're in this realm, information can either be good for you, beneficial for you, or bad for you. Information is either outside of you or is encoded within you. The information that's encoded within us, we have to get back to that information to rise above to where we need to rise to, right? So when you talk about logic, you can't just live off of logic because logic is going to stick you in being, and logic is not all good. It's not all, it's not saying that, because like a friend of mine always said, what is words? I broke down the English language. I told you that it's a conglomerate of a lot of other languages that are conglomerates of, that eventually come from our African dialogue. Latin is a baby of that. And our other, not just, because to me, the whole earth was Africa. The whole earth one day was Africa, was heaven. Okay? And then we got challenged to where we have to rise above the physical realm and to reach our crown and jewel and be crowned queen or king. We make that decision in life. We have to hold ourselves accountable for what we do. I've held myself accountable for when I thought white was this great thing. I was accountable for that. Racism, I fell into that. You see what I'm saying? That wasn't white people's fault. That was their programming, but I made a conscious decision to think that what I was seeing was real. And I didn't stick with it. That's the thing. I grew from what I was learning. The truth. There's no need for a white woman to learn the truth because her truth is her reality. And be it that other people got harmed in the process, it got her the benefits and everything that she needed to survive on this planet, right? So let's look at this video. Let me share my screen. And let's dissect the craziness. Okay, let's dissect the craziness. Okay.
If we go back like a couple hundred years, it was pretty normal to own slaves. Is that right or correct?
Why are we talking about slavery?
Because I'm showing you why the ad populum fallacy is a logical fallacy.
Honestly, back then, a lot of Black people participated in the slave trade themselves. So
yeah, that doesn't make slavery right. Are you trying to defend slavery?
It was a product of the time, dude.
Are you trying to defend slavery?
Did you not see Matt Walsh's new video on this topic?
I did, and I think that defending slavery is cringe as
defending slavery, but I think we're illogical if we didn't realize that a lot of Black people enjoyed being slaves.
Okay. She says you're illogical to not know that a lot of Black people enjoyed being enslaved. This is a lot of Black men's preferences, by the way. A cave beast, straight from the cave with no brain, with no mind. It's hopeless. So basically, she probably got her education off of television. And she's totally detached from what we struggled with or what we've been through. And let me share my video. She's not going to ever get you. She's not going to get you from ground zero. She's going to keep you here. You're going to stay here. This is where you're going to stay, Black men. I want Black men to know that this is where they want to stay. This is where the choices made, and that's their decision. This is where you're going to be. Hey, Emmanuel Briggs. You might make it, if you stick with them and trying to get to Mars, you might make it to solar plexus. You might make it to there. You might. I'm gonna say you might. You just might make, I don't know, 3 levels out of the planet. I don't know. With your mixed kids, you might make it to the yellow with your mixed kids, through your mixed kids. children with her. But I don't think you're going to go very, very, very much far. Emmanuel Briggs, welcome. I'm going to share my link if you want to come up. I don't know if you can see my link when I put it in, but there's my link in case you have any comments you want to make. But let me continue the video on.
Back when slavery was a thing.
How do you know that Black people enjoy being slaves?
I mean, it's just in history. I've read about a lot of Black people not only participated in capturing slaves, but a lot of Black people enjoyed being slaves. Because of course, when you're
Really?
brought up doing something like being a slave your whole life, it's all you know. I'm sure a lot of slaves probably enjoyed it and were happy because that's the only lifestyle they were aware of.
That's crazy.
Can you not think like that? Is it really that dense?
I have never heard of
know.
somebody enjoying having to work countless hours on a plantation, being dehumanized and whipped and told they're not human, and being beaten within an inch of their life, and being
saying that.
Okay, let me explain something. When our people had freedom, we had our own land. We didn't have money situation that they had. And we didn't write down our laws. Our laws were communicative. People understood that you don't harm anyone, you don't steal, and you don't kill. This is why I stated the other day, and it's a fact, that Caucasian people they birthed crime into this dimension that we live in. I might have to say it slowly with lip motion to some people because, my videos don't get seen. Let me fix this for you guys. Let me put myself big screen here. Okay. White people did not have the inner concept of when you're in a community, how to behave and treat each other. They still don't have it today. It's very difficult for them to gain that concept when they're void of the things that we naturally have. See, for her to say there was nothing to bound them, her own people, her ancestors back in the day, to prevent them from doing those things. When our people were not doing those things, our people were harmonizing, trying to get off this dimension onto another dimension, trying to get from here all the way to their crown chakra. Now, she thinks that somehow her ancestors, well, you white people, you think that somehow your ancestors did a good thing for Black people, but you did not do a good thing for my people, and we still suffer. We suffer till this very day. When you say to us, accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior, who are you saying we need saving from? That's my question. That's a big question I have. Because we had our own ways. We never had crime. We never war against people. People came over to war against us. And to let your history tell history book, your historical people tell it, everybody was warring everybody. But when we clear all that up, it was dealing with these Caucasians, trying to handle the situation with religion, coming over, trying to figure out how they're going to, because they knew that the Caucasian was capable of spreading now. You were capable of traveling now after you dealt with the Moors over in Europe. After you dealt with the Moors, you were capable of being barbaric. It became barbaric. So those living the way they were living wouldn't be able to live the way they were living anymore. No more. So because Europe doesn't have resources. Europe didn't have resources, nor does America have resources. So this is what they have to do, white people. They have to take slavery, take people as commodities, and they do it today. But do you think it's okay? That's my question. Is sex taking these young girls, young babies, for these perverts? What they do today, do you think that's okay? And do you think these little young girls, babies, and young girls are enjoying today's slavery? That's my question to Dingbat. Do you think today that young girls, young babies are enjoying the sex trade today? Are they enjoying it? Because you seem to think your people needed something written down for them in order for them to not do bad things. But it is written down today, but they still in survival mode, stealing resources from Black people. Black people don't have anything today because of the crime you enacted upon us. So our people have to resort to crime to live. So basically, you gave us your ways. You taught some of our people your nasty, dirty ways of existing. Instead of taking us high and doing the good things, great things, you chose to do the bad things. And you had the help of many of our own people who are slow like you are, just as slow, don't understand the world, want to give away resources. They don't think. When you don't think, you don't reap the benefits of this because you're not using your mind. If you're not using your mind, then how are you moving higher? You can't reap our own people. They would never reap the benefits of enlightenment due to their own doing. Due to their own doing of helping people like this and loving people like this and agreeing with these comments that the people like these.
I don't think that
okay.
people
I'm just
enjoy
saying
that.
You can't deny the fact that there were probably slave owners that, just like there were really bad ones, there were probably slave owners that probably treated their slaves really nice too, right? Like, you're not thinking logically. You're being so dense.
So I'm just going to say that in general, I think it's wrong to own humans.
Oh,
Of course,
I'm
we're
sorry.
not in that time period anymore.
But you're defending slavery.
I'm not defending it. I'm saying it was a product of the time.
You said that Black people enjoy being slaves.
I think there were probably a good majority of Black people who back then were born and raised as slaves, probably because that's the only thing they knew. It was the environment they grew up in. If they had a slave owner who treated them well, they probably enjoyed their lives. A few of.
But does that make it right? You see, this is where critical thinking comes in. That they, like they said, people want to fight against. I'm all for teaching my children how to critical think and not for teaching these other people. That's their people's responsibility to teach them how to think. And obviously, the other lady knows how to think, but this one lady does not know how to think. And I don't think this other lady is going to help her to learn how to think because she's so on logic. And when people are stuck on logic, they are detached and they're very physical only. We all have that logical part of our brain, but we don't want to get stuck there. We want to be able to live above the struggles, right? The needs, because life in general is a struggle. But the way our people had it, they had it down to a science. They knew we didn't have to have written laws. So when they went in, they knew that we didn't have written laws because those things were passed down from generation to generation. So what she's saying here is because they were degraded, our people were degraded, basically, to the point of generation of slavery. That's all they had passed down is the degradation. It's broken down because Caucasian people made sure we didn't hold tight to the things that we knew within us. So those things had to be written down. Eventually, they were written down and passed down. But here in America, we were totally void of those things because we were under the hands of deterioration, the hands of destruction. Those who did not want us to have our own language anymore, our own culture, know who and where and why we are who we are so we can rise above the human condition. They didn't want none of that for us. They didn't want none of that for us. So back to the saga.
Of them. I think it's illogical to believe that every person who was a slave back then hated their life. I truly think that's illogical. I do.
I'm pretty sure that being owned is not a good thing.
Because you grew up in this generation and this is what you've been taught. And we know these things now.
No,
but back then,
not just because I was
societal standards were not created yet.
That's the woke art. Woke. That's the woke white argument. That's what pushback you're gonna get when you are trying to give her a dose of reality. She's gonna say that I don't forget what she said, but she said what she said.
Not just because I grew up in this generation, but because I
Yeah.
can think logically and morally on this topic and why it is unfair.
She can think both logically and morally. Let's listen to what she said again about
Oh,
Back then,
not just because I was
societal standards were not created yet.
Okay, so she's saying the societal standards were not created for them. We had standards. We didn't treat people like this. We knew better than treat people like this because we went by the laws of nature, mods. We knew balance. You see, Black people have a little something in them that it's people, don't let them mince you and tell you that, mince things up and say, well, we got all share the same DNA. We all come from the same place, same people. No, I've had my DNA checked against the white chick, right? Totally nothing. We had nothing in common whatsoever. Don't think because we're two strangers. No, we come from the same state, near same city. I had to have some kind of ancestor with her, right? But when we got tested, the female, we got tested, female to female, it was nothing in common, nothing at all in common. But we do look alike a little bit. We do look a little alike, right? But we have nothing in common as far as DNA is concerned. So I was like, okay, you can't see it, anything connected whatsoever. So it's like two different worlds. I swear, I'm telling you facts. I don't know how hard it is for our people to see the fact that, we're not connected whatsoever. But let me say,
not just because I grew up in this generation, but because I can think logically and morally on this topic and why it is unfair to own another human based off of their birth as having like a certain skin color, for example. That's unfair
Pretending
and
like I'm saying it's
illogical.
okay to own slaves now, because that's not what I'm insinuating.
You are defending slavery.
I'm not defending it. I'm just giving you the facts. Aren't you all about facts over feelings?
Yeah, and I believe that slavery is immoral.
Right. And I do too. But the fact was, back then, I think you're illogical if you think that some of them didn't enjoy being slaves or enjoy their lives.
Why would anyone enjoy being a slave?
That's the environment you grew up in. That's all you've ever known. So if you grew up in that environment and you have a slave owner who treats you well, that's just all they know. So they probably were happy about it. They didn't know freedom. Why is it so hard for you to understand this?
What does like a slave owner treating their slave well look like?
I mean, back then, I'm sure some of them, I'm pretty sure they fed them, right? Or probably that like they weren't whipping anybody or like not tormenting anyone. Just like, I don't have like specific details for you.
Okay. As long as you're working inhumane hours on plantations, but you're being fed, then that's a good thing.
Again, I'm not saying slavery
that.
was a good thing. You're not going to like try to make it seem like that's what I'm saying, because I don't know what you want me to say. If you want to believe that every person back then who was a slave hated their life, go for it.
Yeah, that's what you get. Let me turn that off. Let me close that out. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know why people are so focused on these people. They're too when it's complexion, when you got too much complex, you know that something is not for you. They're just, I don't know whether they love the entertainment of these. I don't know, I just don't, I can't grasp why people would give attention to these comments, these thinking, this way of thinking. But I'm here to say that it all goes back to they're ignorant people, and it's a war, you see. So she's got to support her ancestors doing what they did, because if they didn't do what they did, they wouldn't be able to still continue to harm Black people, and not only harm us, but steal our resources and make us poor and make us like we don't have anything. It's up to us to bust out of that. I've seen an old man and his white wife. All you're gonna do is grow old and die, be black and white and die in that state. If that's the state that our men want to, and men and women want to be in, just be happy. They want to be happy on earth. They think happiness on earth is being with a white person. Like, a white person is going to give you everything. But I digress on that. They're going to give you a great relationship if you let Sinji tell it. They're going to give you this glorious thing, and the Black man is not going to give you anything. But, I digress on that, because the whole thing with that is nobody said you had to get married. Nobody said you had to have sex. Nobody said you have to have a baby. There's none law written down that says that so-and-so has to go find a mate and fuck all day and have babies. Nobody said that. It's your decision. You can live a happy life just being you, because it is hard out here with children. It's hard out here with a husband. If you're going to work together to build something so that you can get to and teach your children how to get from the red all the way to their crown chakra, then by all means, you're headed to success in life. And ignore, and not make your life about black and white, because this is not good for the mind. None of it is good for the mind. All the stuff that we're dealing with in the physical world, you have a choice. I'm going to tell you this. We have a choice. We can engage in it, or you can disengage. If you engage in it, at least have some form of control over it. So that when you disengage, you don't have nothing to be concerned with, because everything's going to be taken care of. The word of the mouth is powerful. Just speaking is powerful. You can tear down bridges You can bring down walls. You can even stab someone in the heart, you know. So I'm just saying, you have power. You have to utilize it, you know. And then there's, always going to be people who are going to suppress your powers, but they're not able to really do that. They don't have all that. They don't have the power to really do that. So don't allow what they say, because there's no power in what they say or think. If they feel like, if men feel like logic is where they want to be, and they don't want to feel or have no compassion for anybody else, they feel like they have to be in that logic, because white women are mostly, they can be stuck in a logic place. Some of them want to be in the emotional and but for the most part, the society is trying to gear you to the more logical place. But what I don't get, I'm also going to talk about in this video, is the Stormy Daniels, how Black people, and this is why I'm talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about the Democrats, the Black Democrats. They are quick to believe a white woman and what she says, and I'm going to break down the reason why. Because the white woman, when it comes to the Black Democrats, is their ally. She's their ally because of women's rights, all of these rights things, which we naturally have rights. And we saw Kamala go over to Ghana talking about, getting the women up to par. But I'm here to tell you, my mother-in-law was one woman. She's from Ghana. She was one woman. I was highly impressed with her when I first met my husband, because she chose to keep her language, and she was a wife. She was a wife. She was a mother, and she kept her old ways, of being a Ghanaian. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be a part in building our society, but that's going to come with some Western issues. That's going to come with some Western issues. If we don't know how to balance it out, if we are allowing Hollywood to be forced within Ghana and within these other African nations, if we're allowing if we're allowing the white people to bring our entertainment and our music, like I said about James Brown, that was high music. That was, our music back in the day was, you heard the horns, the drums. Oh my! Sometimes I'd be listening to some of our old music, and I'd be wanting to get out here and drum and everything, and have that instrument, because it was about the instrument. It wasn't about these sounds, technological sounds white people came in with during the new birth days of the 70s and the 80s, late 80s, all that electronics sounding. But, I miss the days when we used to have the parks that played the live music of these entertainers playing their instruments. And, it's just beautiful. The live concerts outside, not inside of a building, but outside. And that is just beautiful when you have a singer and you have the instruments. It is nothing like it. It's nothing like it. It makes you just want to join in and play your instruments, and hearing the horn. That's real music. That's done by a human, by a person. Making the sounds from their heart and their soul. That's what I miss a lot. That's what not in a studio, mixing sounds. It's just, this is the degradation I speak of, that instead of allowing us to stay, to move up, they're going to turn you back downward, because they cannot get to that height that you can. So our wokeness. I'm not going to get into the next video, but like I said, I'm just going to show you proof of how they perceive wokeness um, in the next video that I might do. I don't know what time I'm going to do that video though. But I thank you for being here. Thank you, Manuel Briggs. I think that's about all I want to talk about is Stormy Daniels and how people run behind a liar. Um, she didn't change her story so many times. She'll say so many different things. It's just crazy. And then she herself says, why should he have to go to jail for her? Um, but the whole thing is, she got money out of the deal, and Trump has never signed any paperwork dealing with her. But it's all word of mouth talking about. It's all word of mouth from what I hear talking about this affair. So it's a he says, she says situation still. And Cohen already admitted to Trump not knowing anything about him hiding her with money. So you go figure that one out. This is a white people thing. Um, this is what many of our brothers want to get caught up in. This is why they're birthing nonsense, illogical, because the opposite of logic is illogical. So you're going to have either a logical society and an illogical society. That's what you're going to do. That's going to be um, the Thunderdome. The world of the Thunderdome is going to look like not cave people anymore, but you're going to look like these people that thought they were going to go to space but fell back down and everything. Let me show you the picture of the Thunderdome movie. Tina Turner. I know y'all remember this song by Tina Turner. Yeah, the Thunderdome. With that said, true love, real peace, the higher self within the soul. Till next time, peace. Thank you, Emmanuel Briggs, for being here. And thank you, whoever's in the clouds. May your day be great.